Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Build Fly Go. So you may have noticed we took a short break from the build, and you'll see in the timestamp at the top, the date stamp, it jumps around a little bit or jumps forward a good bit. What's going on is we've sort of reached the point in the build where we've got a bunch of like little outstanding things left over that we left for later, and otherwise we're waiting for the finish kit. The finish kit includes the landing gear, the engine mount, and a few other parts, the doors, the fiberglass doors, and things like that. All of the windows, I believe, are also in the finish kit. But that means we sort of stumbled a little bit in the build and decided recently that we should start actually catching up on a number of the little things that we had put aside. And one of them is this tank. This tank never got pressure tested. The other tank got pressure tested and was fine. This tank did not. And you may notice that it is failing the pressure test. You'll see that like that balloon gets inflated and then it deflates itself. And it's a bit terrifying, honestly, because it's a sealed tank. In the meantime, we have a visitor. Here's Mark. I was helping him with some rivets. You can see that balloon deflate, right? Like every time I fill it up, it deflates. And by this point, we had sprayed that tank down 2 or 3 times to try to figure out. You can see the streaks on it with soapy water, and we're trying to make different attachments for the balloon to see if it's maybe leaking at the balloon, and we can't figure out what it is. There it is, sad balloon. Look at that. So it turns out, we're making a manometer there to see, trying everything at this point. And we found where it is. It is unfortunately right at the edge where that bracket comes out the side. So it's sort of a nasty spot to find a leak. The plan at this point is to cut a hole in the tank. This is not an uncommon thing, unfortunately. The plan is to cut a hole in the tank on the rear baffle and repair the issue and then seal it back up. So I have that part. It just arrived this past Saturday, in fact. So I need to, that's coming up this week. So what you're seeing going on here is we are making a bracket for the wings. So we're going to start on the installation of the extended range tanks. I've talked a little bit about my fuel system. I'm installing extended range tanks on the wings. They go in well, you'll see them in just a minute. And I'm also plumbing for a ferry tank, which is actually what I'm doing right now in the video. Is I'm sorting out a bunch of the plumbing so that I can get a ferry tank nipple for fuel in the baggage compartment. So you see I'm bending fuel line. I haven't quite decided if I'm going to get braided line made for this. Or if I'm just going to stick to the hard line. At this point, the hard line is installed. It's going to get installed later because we're painting the inside of the plane, and you're going to see that in this video as well. But I might talk to Steve about getting a line made. So there is the extended tank. You see it on the couch over there in the corner. So it goes in that lightning hole that you can see right there that I keep sticking my arm in. And I'm sticking my arm in there because I'm making a bracket for that. The bracket goes on this side. You can see there's an access cover right there. That's for accessing the fuel pump for the extended range tank and for accessing I guess, where it comes in and all this kind of stuff. So one of the issues we've had is this tank does not have a system to let you know how full it is or how empty it is. And that's on purpose because you don't want fuel because it's so outboard and there's no baffles. The two options for that tank is in flight, it's either full or it's empty. You never fly at half full. So the idea is You fill it up, you go fly. As soon as your main tanks are down the proper amount, which is, I believe, is about 8 or 9 gallons, then you pump everything from the extended range tanks into the main tank, and then the extended range tank is empty. So I'm sorting out how to get a fluid sensor in there so that I know when it's empty. And unfortunately, the AN fitting that I need does not exist. So I'm talking to one of the fabs in China to see if they can make me like 4 AN fittings. But alas. I am also working with the manufacturer of this extended range tank system. We weren't terribly happy with how they came out, and he offered to replace them. So those aren't actually going to be the final ones, but we're using them to make the brackets to fit in there. The other thing that you'll notice here is that this wing, which used to be up on the far right on top of the shelf, we never riveted the leading edge onto. It's really something that takes about an hour to do. It's not a big deal, so we weren't stressing about it. But we figured, okay, we need to work on stuff now, right? We got time to kill. So we are installing that. And because we made those stands that you saw a few minutes ago, now both wings are going to go into the basement in the house. We have a walkout basement, so there's a big patio door there. So the wings go in the patio door and basically go in between the couch and the TV, which is downstairs. So no TV for us. But it gets that wing out of the workshop. The other wing was already in there. It was on top of the couch. It's been on top of the couch for 6 months. So it moves both wings into the house and out of the way and makes some progress on this. The other thing I was thinking about doing as well is starting to work on pitot stuff. But it turns out we need the bottom skins installed for pitot, and I don't want to install the bottom skins until much later in the build. I'm hoping that we're done with the builds in about a year. Crossing my fingers. Let's see. And maybe new stuff is out, and I'll want to put other things in the wings. You never know, right? So wait as long as you possibly can to close out the wings. What you see going on here is I am spraying interior paint, and I'm not wearing a respirator because this paint is water reducible. It's not a nasty 2-part solvent-based paint, so you can't smell anything. There's no solvent smell to it. There's no, it's not, I'm sure it's not great for you, but I'm comfortable spraying this outside and okay with it. So this is Jetflex. You can actually see it sitting on the little step stool there. It's a custom color that Blend Supply mixed for us, which you can now see the color. It's sort of a darker gray. As it cures, as it dries out, it's going to turn into slightly darker than that. It's not quite charcoal, but it's a darker gray. Anyway. You can sort of see it now in the right light. But so what we're doing is we're masking the inside of the airplane because I'm going to spray as much of the inside as I can. Because the idea is I don't know which interior I'm going to use in this airplane, right? Like there's a bunch of different interior systems and options that you can do for RV-10s and all the RVs. And I don't know which one I'm going to use. I might decide to use just parts of one to keep it light. Which means I want to have the inside of the airplane painted some color, right, to so that it isn't like just primer green if there's a part that's not covered by an interior panel or interior piece. So we're masking things off. You see we stuffed paper in a lot of spots. We've taped up a lot of stuff, and Mary's helping here. And here we go. This is my big spray day, checking the parts. I'm sanding everything. I'm sanding with a piece of maroon Scotch-Brite, which worked well for us in the RV-9 as the sanding grit, if you will, for this. There were a few other parts that I had found that needed to be sanded as well. You can see me put them on top of the wing there. And then I vacuumed everything to get as much of the dust off as possible. I wiped everything down with Semsolve, and then I used a tack cloth to get any remaining dust. Any dust that stays in there when you spray over is going to not help with adhesion, right? It's going to get in the way. You'll notice I am wearing a little face mask there, mostly because I'm doing this inside now, so the concentration is a little higher of the fumes. Honestly, I couldn't smell any of it. It's incredible. But anyway, you still don't want to be breathing it. One of the things that caught me is I opened that door. It's been very rainy here in Madison the last few days. And I opened that door and it dripped all over the parts as I was painting them out on that little table. So I've got a bunch of parts that I have to wait for them to dry so I can sand them down and respray them, which is never exciting. But there you go. You can see this is, the interior color looks good. It's basically done. And yeah, we'll take it from here. Hope to see you guys soon. Enjoy.